Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I'm pretty sure you are all aware with the incident from Bucha, which was how should I put it, a neighborhood, a location by Kiev that the Ukrainians claim that after the Russians, after they invaded from the north, stopped at Kiev, and then they went back, they retreated without a war, they retreated. That when the Ukrainian came over there in that area, they saw a lot of civilians dead and a war crime. And you remember that Bucha? Okay. Well, I don't know what happened. The Russians denied that they did anything wrong. They said it was the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians said, no, it was you. Okay, my point is this. If you have the victims, you know who they are. Because they were all supposedly residents of Bucha. You know who they are. Ukraine must know exactly how many they are, who they are, how they died, how they were, tortured or killed, right, with 3 bullets, 5 bullets, because they found the evidence. So then you come, and you go and expose the evidence to the United Nations or to the world, and you tell them, Gigi, Mikey, Tommy, Pop, this guy's picture right here, this is how they died, we identified, and this is it. This is how you do. This I would do. I mean, if you want to convince me. If you just tell me this guy's committed a crime over there, we tell you, I don't believe anybody like that. Right? I mean, I believe my loved ones or people that I already established a kind of trust, mutual trust, then yes. But like that, no, thank you very much. So then we have Lavrov, who a year ago, he demanded to see the list. He said, we would like to see the list of the victims from Bucha that these guys claim that, they died. We killed them. And I have a video, a short, which is about a minute or so. And look how long, about a minute or so. And then where Lavrov demands or requests in the UN, United Nations Security Council, I guess he's the United Nations anyway, he demands to see the list. Who are those guys? Everybody knows about that, but we don't know. Who are those guys? And also today, the United Nations President Guterres, I think he confirmed that the Russians demanded from the United Nations the list of those guys who were massacred by the Russian troops, the war crime. So they can look into it. Maybe they punish their people if they find them to be guilty of something. No? Common sense? All right, let me show you this video, this short first, and we're going to discuss on it. So here is Lavrov, and it's going to be, subtitled. And it says here, ever since the propaganda effect was realized, nobody recalls Bucha anymore except for us. All right, let's see.
Когда был этот пропагандистский эффект реализован, никто об этой Буче не вспоминает, кроме нас. Я еще раз обращаюсь в присутствии генерала.
I'm asking once again, in the presence of the Secretary General and the esteemed ministers, please make the Ukrainian government take an elementary step.
Добейтесь от украинских властей, чтобы они сделали элементарный шаг.
Publish the names of the people whose bodies were shown in Bucha.
Опубликовали имена тех людей, чьи трупы были показаны в городе Буче.
Bucha.
Я об этом...
I have been asking for months. Nobody listens. Nobody wants to react.
Уже не один месяц. Никто не слышит.
Никто лишь. Okay. So, you like him or not? This is basic, fundamental. Who are those guys that you showed? Identify them. That's how you do an investigation. You just say, there was a crime over there. You identify who committed the crime, if you find a suspect, who is the victim, and so on. The witnesses, you put them in, you release it. Otherwise, how are these guys going to look into it? Who's going to look into it? That's the first one. And then let's go to the article that I'm going to discuss today, which is the second. This was a year ago almost. And this is the second one. From Sputnik. Listen, I'm not here to defend Bucha or Kucha or Malucha or Ukraine or Zelensky Stein or Lavrovsky or anybody like that. But don't you think this is elementary practice? Basic? US says received Lavrov's request for list of Bucha victims. The United Nations has received a request from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to share a list of Bucha victims featured in footage that was released by Ukrainian authorities after they entered the town following the departure of Russian forces, in what Moscow says was a provocation to frame its soldiers. And I'm going, yes, the request has been received. Spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said during a briefing on Thursday. So it was not Guterres, my bad. The remarks were in response to a reporter's question if Lavrov had sent such requests. Speaking at the United Nations Council this week, Lavrov recalled that he had personally asked the UN Secretary General on several occasions to facilitate Kiev handling over the list of names of those allegedly killed by Russian soldiers in Bucha. His appeals remained unanswered, Lavrov stressed. The UN Secretary General is not allowed to even try to establish the truth that exposes the Western puppet masters, end quote. Lavrov said. The Russian Defense Ministry said in April 2022 that the footage of Bucha published by Kiev was a provocation. The ministry said that not a single local resident was subject to any violent actions during the time the town was under Russian control. That's what they say. The other guys say the other thing. So I don't know. Let's find out. Don't you want to find the truth? I want to find the truth. And perpetrators be punished. All Russian troops completely withdrew from Bucha on March 30th, 2022, and exits from town in the northern direction were not blocked, while the southern outskirts, including residential areas, were shelled by Ukrainian troops around the clock from large caliber artillery, tanks, and multiple launch rocket systems. So he claims it was the Ukrainians who bombed them. The other guy said, no, it was you. So let's see. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Russia categorically rejects the accusations of involvement in the death of Bucha and demands that international leaders not rush into sweeping accusations against Russia, but listen to Moscow's arguments. Well, I think that's right. That's one thing. And remember, based on Bucha, based on that, every politician from the West was paraded through that area and told about this. But these guys did not establish it with, as they like it, international court or international committee, international investigation. Now the Ukrainians are crying for good reason, but hey, you do it first. That builds credibility. That is, they cry that, hey, that airplane IL-74 that was downed, or 76 that was downed, you remember the one in Bryansk 2 days ago with POWs, Ukrainian POWs. Now the Ukrainians demand an international investigation. Well, do you let, and obviously Ukrainian observers or investigators, which I'm all for it, but then you have to allow that at Bucha and anywhere else. And more importantly than that, you have to allow the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 be investigated by the Russians, by the Chinese, by the Iranians, by the Romanians, by the Palestinians, by the Camelanians, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Not only the Danes who are keeping their fucking snots closed, the Swedes, which the same thing, and the Germans who are not allowed to see everything. Why is that? So when you're going to have that, then we're talking. Until then, Q. How about that? If Russia does that and says that, oy vey, let me break this, is, oh, bad Russians. But when they do it, what are you talking about? Are you a Russian propagandist here? Are you? There's no in between, man. You can't look for the truth. You either or. Some people are not like that. So nevertheless, this is what they said about Bucha, and I'm very eager to find out what happened. And as I said many times, the perpetrators, not punished. The alleged perpetrators being rounded up, charged, maybe convicted, and then charged, convicted, and imprisoned, whatever the punishment would be. Regardless who that is. Are you willing to do that? It seems like those guys don't start with the beginning. Who are those guys? If you have a clear-cut crime, you have no problem doing that. Don't give me the confidentiality garbage. Okay? They showed many people and offered names of other people who were killed. That guy, remember that? Who was a hero? I can say that. The guy was smoking and he was shot while he said Slava Ukrainska, and he was killed right there on camera. Now that's a hero. Like it or not, I mean, to say that in front of death, he knew he would be killed if he would say that, unless he was drugged, which I cannot assume. I don't want to imply that. But nevertheless, he said it. That's the fact. That's it. You know his name, you know everything. Was that a war crime? Yes, it was a war crime. And we know everything about that guy. But about these guys, zip it. Something is not kosher. So give me the list. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.